Hey guys, Doug Walker here. Things are moving along pretty smoothly here at Channel Awesome. We're working to get these new shows going, all that good stuff. One of the things that a lot of people have been asking for a long time while we're doing this is what are my favorite Nostalgia Critic reviews? And oddly enough, they might not be the ones that you think they are. So today I'm going to do my top 11 favorite Nostalgia Critic reviews. But before that, I'm going to do the top 8 or 9 sort of honorable mentions, the ones that you would think would probably be on my favorites, but actually aren't, but I still think they're kind of good. So we'll just go through those real quick. Thomas the Tank Engine. Yes, it started the Sparkle, Sparkle, Sparkle meme that now I hear at every con. I thought it had some real good laughs. I thought it was such a strange movie and such a odd combination of elements and dramatic and comedy and adult and children. It was so strange. You're a Rotten Dirty Bastard, the Nostalgia Critic Christmas Special. I really liked this one. This was back when I just wanted like no redeeming features for the Nostalgia Critic. I just loved it. It was the first time I used Orlando. I loved using all the people that were in it. Just loved this spin that, you know, It's a Wonderful Life where everybody actually would be better off without the character. Even the person trying to show him betrays him when he finds out how much better he'd be. The Grinch. It was the first review I ever did entirely in rhyme, and it actually wasn't as difficult as I thought it was going to be, and a lot of people really liked it, and I loved imitating the original Grinch special, trying to get the angles and stuff like that, so that was great fun. This is the one that, like, a lot of people were half and half about at the time, and now, like, everybody loves it. It's, like, one of the definitive reviews that everyone really enjoys, and they love making fun of Tim Curry, they love making fun of all the sort of strange choices that are made in the story, and they love making fun of the Stephen King cliches in the Stephen King drinking game. Scooby-Doo, the final episode. I thought it went out really well. I thought it was a real good way to wrap things up. Just in terms of absolute favorites, I just think these others are a little better, but I really, really liked that review, and I think it was a real good way to send the Nostalgia Critic off. The Wizard, this is one where I was just topping myself with reviews at the time, like every review was just getting like better and better. I think this was sort of like at the time like the crowning achievement that everyone was just blown away by how funny it was. And I think people were just happy to see me tackle this movie because not a lot of people tackled the movie at that point, at least not from a review standpoint. And also just the Lucas jokes, how can you go wrong? California! Just a lot of memorable lines. The Room, believe it or not, this isn't one of my all-time favorite episodes. I think it's really good. I like how it turned out, and I love working around how I go back in time to make it nostalgic, or forward in time to make it nostalgic. Like I said, I just like these other ones better. And the final runner-up is Batman and Robin. Yes, this is actually not one of my favorites. I think it's actually kind of overrated, believe it or not. I mean, if you like it, great, you know, and there are some good jokes in it. I'm not saying it's at all bad. It's just funny how much, like, it really took off. Like, this is the one that people associate, like, the most with the Nostalgia Critic, you know, and of course the bad credit card that, you know, people still shout at me at cons, you know, it's just this, and it's a good review, I like it, I just don't think it's, like, my best, you know, or even necessarily, like, one of the top 11. At least not one of my favorites, so, blah, blah, blah. Let's get to the actual top 11 of my favorite Nostalgia Critics. Number 11. Patch Adams. I just loved the idea of attacking a film that's supposedly based on a true story, even though it's like every manipulative little thing you can imagine is in this movie. And it's another one of those films where, like, a lot of people liked it. They liked it at the time, and for whatever reason they liked it years later. The critics certainly didn't like it. It got panned. Maybe that's why I didn't like it either. I'm just following the crowd. But what I really like about this review is not just the jokes and not just making fun of the Robin Williams formula, which I think that's the film where it's abused, like, the most. I mean, it is just the most painful to watch, and it's just made even more painful that it's supposedly based on a true story about a very fascinating guy. I mean, this guy, whether or not you agree with him or not, is very fascinating. It has some very fascinating ideas. And, like, a legit movie made about him, like one that's really sort of challenging and interesting, would be kind of cool, instead of this schmaltz. So, I mean, if you like it, if it inspired you, whatever, great. Just didn't do it for me. I thought changing the making up a character or whatever to kill off as opposed to actually, you know, acknowledging the real person who died in this, I mean, How can that not piss you off? That really pissed me off. That's a dead person for crying out loud. You're not even getting the gender right. But at the same time, it's actually brought both the review and I guess the movie, well, obviously the movie, has brought a lot of attention to the real guy. And the real guy, like I said, whether or not you agree with him, he deserves to be looked at. He deserves to be heard out. Yeah, I really like this review. I loved tearing into it. And it was definitely a lot of fun. Number 10. The Animaniacs Tribute. This was just great because I got to talk to people that essentially were kind of my heroes growing up, and I didn't even really know they were my heroes. I didn't know these people. I didn't know what they did, but then when you see, you know, how much of an influence they did have on your sense of humor and how much work they did do and how much, just multiple things a lot of them did, it's really cool. And you get to talk to them, you know, just as everyday people, and yes, the questions you want to hear about it, and it looked like a lot of the audience are wanting to hear about too, and I got to improvise with them. I mean, how cool is that? You get to do a scene with Slappy Squirrel, or you get to do a scene with Mr. Director, and it was great fun to put together. It was great fun to edit. It was a long time editing. Went much longer than I thought, but it was just like, it's one of the most memorable experiences editing something, because I was just having so much fun putting it together, and I loved editing in the clips. And I loved cutting it together, and I love that these people were so nice to, you know, to do this get-together and everything, and I just really love it. I have very fond memories of not only, you know, watching it after it's done, but also putting it together and talking with these people and how nice and open they were. It was great fun. Number 9. The Haunting. I loved ripping into this film because I adore the original, as you could probably guess. A lot of people didn't know the original, and a lot of times when they ask, you know, what's one of your favorite movies or scary movies or something, I say The Haunting, and they would automatically think, you know, the Liam Neeson, Catherine Zeta-Jones version. It's just, they're missing this great film. And like I said, even if you don't find it scary, it's psychologically fascinating. I mean, it's just a great study of this character, and you know, and just haunted houses in general and everything. It's shot gorgeously. It's just this brilliant movie, and then for this remake to come out, this is one of the few movies I actually walked out on. I was actually dragged to the theater to go see this one. I just wanted to walk out about 5 times, and you know, Rob was just, and I'll stay. Come on, let's see how bad it gets. Let's see how bad it gets. And finally, at the point where Owen Wilson gets his head chopped off, which was, you'd think it'd make me stay longer because, you know, it just, you know, encouraged the idea that more of the characters would die. That was too much for me. I'm like, okay, this is way too stupid. And it felt so good doing a side-by-side comparison, you know, just, even though I don't think, like, people defended this movie necessarily, you know, not like, hey, you leave The Haunting alone. I mean, most people knew it wasn't very good. It just felt so good to do side-by-side why it's so terrible. And it's, you know, like I said, I always sort of say every movie is like a little miracle that it can get made, you know, I mean, because films are so difficult to make, and so much goes into it. And that's one of those where I'm just like, what? I cannot understand the thought process behind it. The only thing I can figure is just that the makers or the director or whatever thought CG was really scary. You know, maybe he saw Jurassic Park and was just like, oh my god, I want to do something like this. CG is really scary. And it's just so horrible. And it just goes against everything that the original was trying to do, and the story is terrible, and really glad that I got to do sort of this side-by-side comparison, because hopefully it turned on more people to the original movie. So much effort was going into, like, every line, every decision, every choice the character makes, and what happens in the story. Gothic, and suspenseful, and it's creepy, and just... And then there's that, and just, it scares me, but not for the right reasons. Number 8. North. And this was fun for the exact reason you probably think it is, that I saw the Siskel and Ebert review when I was growing up, but I never saw North. And I was just always fascinated, what is in this movie? Because like I said, I saw the trailer, a lot of us saw the trailer, it just looked like everyday kids film. I mean, nothing really that massive. I think it came out at the same time as, like, The Lion King, so really nobody paid attention to it. But after watching that review, I mean, it was just, what the hell is in this? So it was really fun to see what made this film so god-awful that can make Siskel and Ebert say these things and have both of them declare it the worst film of the year, you know, or one of the worst films they've ever seen in their lives. And it is just a fascinating, you know, it's kind of like The Room. You just ask yourself, what would persuade the writers or the directors to make these choices? I mean, these are just not only bad choices and bad jokes, but they're so hate-filled and mean and filled with stereotypes. Half of them don't even make sense. And even half the celebrities don't make sense. Who would put Kathy Bates as an Eskimo? It doesn't add up. And, oh, man. And it's a shame because there's a lot of good people in this movie, too. You'd think, well, this should turn out well. I'm not a huge fan of Rob Reiner, but I would imagine he can get something okay out of, you know, these people and this plot and everything. It's just like, what the hell happened? It was just so nasty, such a nasty, stupid movie with so many good people behind it. So, just a fascinating film to watch. And somebody told me that, or somebody says that, like, you know, the idea behind the film is that since it is, spoilers, a daydream, you know, or just a dream in general, that it's sort of like how the kid would see everything, like he would see everything through sort of these over-the-top stereotypes and stuff like that, because he's a kid and he doesn't know any better. But they build up in the opening that this kid is sort of like a little genius. I mean, like, he is really smart, and he is like this prodigy, so why wouldn't he know this stuff? Why wouldn't he put together that these stereotypes and these cliches that I don't even think would make sense to a kid? They barely made sense to an adult. I barely got half of the stereotypes they were doing. Why would he put together that this is not how things work, and this is not how people work and stuff like that? So, really horrible movie, but a very fascinating kind of horrible. It's almost worth renting just to see, you know, the strange horribleness that it delivers to you. Number 7. Neverending Story 3. I kind of shot myself in the foot with this because I clearly did the best one first during sequel month. And everyone sort of thought it was going to be like Secret of Nim 2, and I kind of thought it was too, but Neverending Story 3 was so bizarrely horrible and intriguingly fascinating that it's just, you couldn't turn away. I mean, this is another one of those movies where it's like, rent the movie, because I couldn't tackle, you know, everything that was so strange and odd about that film. There's so many other scenes, there's so many other moments that don't add up or are so odd or are so strange, and they deserve to be seen. They deserve to, you know, be recognized and witnessed. It just turned out some really great jokes, and it turned out some great visuals. I still love, there's, you know, one or two gifs out there of my jaw dropping to the ground. I mean, I love that. Nobody sees it coming. It gets a big laugh. And, yeah, like I said, a lot of it just comes from the fascination of how beautifully horrible that movie is. Especially, I mean, it's like I already did one bad sequel, the second one, and then to have one that's even worse and just goes even deeper into, you know, betraying what the original was. And I love the original. I think the original is just a great movie, and it's smart, and it's inventive, and it's got some great ideas, it's got some great fantasy, and it doesn't treat kids like little morons. It actually, you know, sort of respects them and challenges them while still being entertaining. And then you got 3, which does the exact opposite of everything I said. It does treat them like little morons, and it doesn't respect them, and but does it in such a creative way. So it's hard to, it's hard not to enjoy it. So yeah, a lot of people were asking me to do, like, the show. I guess there was a show. I'm not, well, obviously the end scene's dead, but I'm not doing the show because I don't want to sit through all that. It just sounds like a pain. So, yeah, Neverending Story 3 was definitely a lot of fun. It was great fun watching the movie. It was great fun doing the review, too. It was very therapeutic smashing that DVD at the end, too. Number 6. Titanic, the other animated movie. You don't think you're going to top that in terms of animated Titanic movies. You can't even believe there's a genre of animated Titanic movies, and yet, here's another one with actually better animation, and It's just worse. I mean, you can't comprehend that the one with the rapping dog is actually the better one. I mean, you just... Why throw money at this? How would you get money back for this? I don't comprehend. You know, and these choices, and the octopus comes and puts it back to get the captain makes it out alive, gets the little salute, and they all get married and live happily ever after. Did anyone even die in that movie? I don't know. Did even the bad guy die? You know, why does the Titanic movies keep putting bad guys in their movie? The iceberg is the bad guy, okay? You don't need a villain. It makes no sense. And, oh my god, and it was great to bring back the giant Jägermeister bottle, which I was actually going to eBay originally, but my brother's like, no, hold on to it, you might need it again. And sure enough, the second animated Titanic movie comes out, and, yeah. Here's another reason, because a lot of people were like, there was a spin-off called, I forget what I think it's just called Tentacles or something like that. It sounds like a hentai, right? But everyone was like, why don't you do the spin-off movie? Why don't you do... I think we all know it's not going to be as good as the 2 animated Titanic movies. I can't top that. I can't top magic moonbeam tears that make dolphins talk, and jailer sharks that wear jailer outfits, and that really is one of those you can't believe it exists. I mean, this is like an SNL sketch. And SNL did a sketch where it's like Tidy, the, little Titanic that could, and with Whoopi Goldberg as the iceberg. That movie got it right! They had the iceberg be the villain. And that was just a sketch! It wasn't even a real film, and even they were closer to a historic representation of the Titanic than these 2 pieces of shit. So, oh man. Sorry. Definitely fond memories of that one. Number 5. All the commercial specials. I know, again, it's kind of cheating because it's like 3 episodes in one, but I mean, let's face it. I mean, I know some of you probably look for some spliced version on YouTube where they're just all together, and it was just a great idea. It was a fun idea. It's a weird comparison, but it reminds me of watching, like, the Jackass movies, because I love Jackass. I know it sounds really weird, but I really love, watching the show and watching the movies, and every time it starts to come to the end, you're always sort of like, oh, like, you don't want to stop. You're really enjoying it, and... it's funny with a lot of these sort of vignettes or these little jokes or these little sketches, oftentimes, like, you would get bored because there's no story or nothing really pulling you through except exactly what it is, just funny little jokes. And sometimes that's all you need, and I think that's one of those instances where it's like just making fun of these commercials and looking at them and remembering them and laughing at how goofy they are. Sometimes that's really, you don't need too much else. I mean, that will pull it through. And that's exactly what happened with the commercials. And I think those are sort of like the highlights. And a lot of people were asking, why didn't you do another one? Why didn't you do another commercial? I think by the end of the 3rd one, again, we're just running out of ideas. And as you probably notice, when we're running out of ideas, we don't want to force it if we don't have to. It's nice to have a trilogy, the commercial trilogy, whatever. And they're just so much fun. At the... Jim Trokin, the guy who, he was Lamar Prick, the one, like, if you want to see him piss his pants, just shout out, I have permission! He dies at that. I think that's, like, his favorite NC joke. Fucking Bubbles. Everyone still quotes fucking Bubbles. I'm surprised nobody brings up Wonder Boner. I'm surprised that doesn't get as big a laugh. I thought that was going to be, like, the one where everyone's like, hey, where's the Wonder Boner? They're going to make drawings. Nobody did, but fucking Bubbles, everybody remembers. So, again, it just comes down to, when people say, like, oh, I know what'll get a laugh, you really don't. Every time you think you do, sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. So, that's one of those instances where it's like, if I had to place money on, which would be the bigger hit, fucking Bubbles or Wonder Boner, I'd probably say Wonder Boner. It's a weird job I have where I can talk about what would be better, fucking Bubbles or Wonder Boner, but either way, it was a good special. Number 4. A Simple Wish. Now, aside from this being a very curiously bad movie, and again, one of those really fascinating ones where you just sort of go, yeah, what's the thought process behind that? It was very entertaining. It was an entertaining bad movie. It was very easy to make jokes at it. It was very bright and colorful, so at least it gave you something to look at, you know, during the horribleness. But let's just cut to exactly what made it so great. Mara Wilson. I mean, that was just... I think that's my favorite Nostalgia Critic joke ever. And it's how much, you know, she dedicated herself to doing this, and she just was... I mean, when she had to look really pissed, she looked really pissed. When she had to look, you know, really kind of slimy, like she's enjoying torturing me, she really got that down. When she had to do the evil... That evil laugh at the end, that... Oh my god, that... I must have spent like hours and hours just editing that last couple minutes because I wanted to get that just right. I want to represent that performance because it was such a great performance. It was so funny. It was just the perfect pitch. And it was great showing these clips too of, you know, me when I was a little kid. I mean, just looking dorky as hell and stuff. Because I think I used to show sort of like older films like when I was younger, like either late high school or early college, and people were like, you know, well, this isn't that bad. You did pretty good when you were younger, you know, for that age and stuff. I was just like, no, there's other stuff. I'll get it to you someday. And this was finally like the big reveal of it. And just the fact that she was down for that, and she made it so funny. And I remember even, like, at the very end where we have her eyes glow and have it turn red and stuff, you know, my brother came in and he's just like, you know, we can up this a little bit more. And he made her look like the devil, pretty much. And we were just, is she going to be okay? Let's try. And we sent her a clip of it. I was like, is this okay? And she's like, yeah, it's great, do it. This is going to be so funny. So it's one of those great moments where not only can you get someone that just you never think you're going to work with, it doesn't even cross your mind, you know, and you get her for, like, you know, your dumb little show, but it's the fact that, you know, she turned in just this great performance. She had this unbelievable sense of humor, and it just made a great joke, and we saved it for the end, and I love the way it's revealed. I mean, there's no build-up. She's just kind of there, and nobody's seen her in years. And that's just so cool that just because of humor, just because of a joke, you know, that we can do this and we can actually get her acting, and she's so damn funny. I mean, so it was really great. That's my favorite Nostalgia Critic joke ever. Number 3. The Tom and Jerry movie. This is just one of those reviews, I don't know, I just have really good memories of it. I have good memories of making it, I have good memories of watching it. I loved Tom and Jerry growing up, as you all know, so I mean, it was great to really analyze what was wrong with this film. It sort of seemed like the perfect kind of length to it. It wasn't too long, it wasn't too short. You know, and some parts where people, you know, would probably complain it went too long, like the Shakespeare thing, actually a lot of people really liked. And it was sort of just this fun little love letter to Tom and Jerry as well, because, I mean, I think it's another one of those comedy duos that just, not to make people think about, it's like, oh, it's just slapstick violence, whatever, it's cartoon, it's kid stuff, but really watch them. I mean, if you watch the expressions on their face, like, before something hits them, I mean, it's just like that perfect, you know, feeling of content, you know, and happiness and stuff, and you just know it's gonna come crashing down when, you know, whatever smashes into them, and just how hard it smashes into them, and how much the character should bend or not bend, or how painful it should look. I mean, they just got it just right in that piece of shit movie. Just having them talk, of course. I mean, I think that was another one I saw the Siskel and Ebert review on. They were just like, and now we're gonna do the Tom and Jerry movie. Here's a clip. And they show a clip of them talking just for a few seconds, and it's like, and you can already see what's wrong with it, can't you? It's like, they're friends, they're getting along, they're talking, it's bright and colorful, it has nothing to do with them fighting each other, and like, waste of time. Next, it was like a really short review. And yeah, again, it's just so fascinating the choices they make in this movie, and just how really, if you took Tom and Jerry out of it, you would never connect any of it to Tom and Jerry. I know it sounds, like, obvious, but I mean, like, you know, the story and the setup, nothing would you ever think, you know, this would connect to Tom and Jerry. So, you know, like I said, that girl comes in, just sort of hijacks the film and makes it her own. I love spit takes, as you can tell, and I think that's probably the best spit take, drinking sangria and eating watermelon at the same time. And I actually had to put plastic wrap over the camera so that when I spit at it, you know, you see it, like, drizzling down, and it wouldn't get the camera too messy. So great memories of that one, and it's just a real fun movie to do. It turned out to be a really great review. Number 2. Casper. This is one that I just worked my friggin' ass off on. It's another one of those things where going in, you're sort of not aware how hard it's going to be, but because you have that naivete and that passion, that joy of what you're doing, you don't notice, you don't realize how many hours you're wasting on animating this damn thing. But it just turned out so good, and it's the first time that, I've sort of really pushed, what I could do with animation. Not that I've done much, or it's even that phenomenal, but I mean, just to be done in a week, and to have this Casper running around and talking to me and stuff like that, I mean, was just great. And I love to turn Casper into a bad guy, and sort of that Mickey Mouse voice he has and everything, and, oh, aren't you glad you're never going to see that timing joke again? That's what I knew was bad. I knew was terrible, but I didn't care. I just loved torturing people with it. But I think just the way the review went as well was so much fun, and it's an enjoyable movie to make fun of, because it's not like the worst movie. And I think I acknowledge that actually it's not like a god-awful film. You can tell they're really trying. They're trying to give Casper depth. I mean, they're trying to give him, some adult jokes, and they're trying to give him, and they're trying to have actual character to this and make it visually interesting and stuff like that. It just didn't quite pan out, and for me it just kind of turns out awkward at scenes. And I know a lot of people really like that movie, which is why it's important at the end to say, hey, if you like it, great. It's just not for me. But that doesn't mean you can have the Casper character go crazy. And that's another one of those episodes where everyone's like, what do your neighbors think of you running down the street with the Ghostbuster outfit, going, Casper! And I'm like, really? I go into a con at the end screaming Casper, I get like a crowd of people with me like the Pied Piper, and I end up jumping in a swimming pool swearing that he sees an imaginary ghost. All you're thinking is, what do the neighbors think when I'm running across the street like that? And that was great fun. I didn't tell him what I was going to do either at the con. I was just like, I'm just going to come in and just go with it. Whatever it is, just go with it. Everyone's like, okay, all right, and we just went from there. I am going back to that convention, by the way. Just quick shout out. This year, GMX, I am going back to that this year. So I don't think I'll be jumping in any pools, but I'll do something fun. So that was a really great review. I had a ton of fun doing it, and again, just good memories of that review. Just one of those where you work really, really hard on this animation and editing and making these jokes work, and it really pays off. So I was very, very happy with that. And my number one favorite nostalgia critic review is Moulin Rouge. This is probably the one I worked the hardest on and the longest on. And I think it shows. I think it's the funniest, it's the most creative, it has the most cameos. It has cameos of people that were never even in them, like Brentalfloss. It's a musical. People sing in it, people dance in it. There's a lot of fun visuals to look at. The jokes are great. And it's great taking a film that, again, a lot of people really enjoy. And I really can't stand it. I really hate it. But it's fun pointing out why I don't like it. And again, sort of having that message in the end that if you like it, great, enjoy it. There's no problem if we hate it, and nothing says you're wrong, I'm right, there's no book, so it's great that, we could have that message at the end, but still have the critics sort of be a jerk, and Brentalfloss, thank God he comes back to life, and Baby Jesus too. I don't know how he pulled that off. Flying out to New York and doing it there, and, and doing the filming and seeing Brent's one of those people, like, as soon as I saw him on YouTube, when he was just starting out, I'm just like, oh my God, I want to work with this guy. I want to do something with this guy. And so when we finally started calling and talking with each other and stuff, I mean, it was just great to get that going. And it was great to get Lindsay's team in on it too. It was great to look around New York. It was great to, shoot around the green screen and do the songs and everything. And it took several months to do. I mean, that's like the longest review I've ever worked on. While I'd be doing other reviews, I'd sort of be working on this on the side, and Brent would sort of be working on the songs on the side and stuff, and we'd sort of be singing on the side. And it just turned out so good. And I think it's one of the few ones where it's like the cameos, like every cameo hit. Nobody was like, yeah, that was a pointless cameo. Yeah, that did. It's like, no, everyone got a laugh. And that just is so great, especially at the point where I think we were sort of abusing the cameos. But that one, it just seemed like everyone was necessary and everyone got a big laugh. Probably because they were so quick. You know, it's just for a joke and then they're gone. So I was so happy with that episode. I'm so happy how it came out, and I just, when I think of like, I remember even when I was showing it to Rob, he was just okay. He's like, dude, we're not gonna top this in terms of nostalgia critics. And I'm like, I don't think we are either. It's like I think we've hit sort of our opus. And that's at the point, too, where we're just like, maybe we should start wrapping it. And we're like, yeah, I know, we're not going to top it. We're not going to do any better, so let's start wrapping it up. And with that said, it is wrapped up. It's been such a great ride, and everyone's been so supportive. I mean, even just people posting these videos saying how much they're going to miss the NC, but how they're looking forward to the new stuff we're going to do. It's just so touching, and it's also so exciting, to go in a new direction and do the stuff we're going to do, which, like I said, we're working on now, and we're going to keep you guys updated, all that good stuff. So, yeah, guys, thanks for supporting the Nostalgia Critic as long as you have, and it's just been... There's not even words. It's still so hard to believe I've done this for like 4 to 5 years, before the site started, just doing it on YouTube as a hobby. It's like, now it's like, people are crying that he's gone. It's just, it's so surreal, and it's so cool, and just you guys really made that happen, and you make me feel like top of the world when you do that and you show that support. So I hope we can, continue to give you guys good stuff. Like I said, we're going to keep you updated. We're going to keep doing videos like this too until we get the new shows going, and like I said, we're very anxious and very excited, and good stuff's coming, man. So thanks again, and take care.